Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 2, episode I don't fucking know because that's Emmy's part, and you're welcome. I have a guest here who I've known for quite some time. Obviously, we're just going to jump into it. Emmy's still gone, if you can't tell, but this is Caroline, and we have been friends for 3 years now. Sure. Long enough to have enough history to talk shit over some wine. And so I'm really excited to have her. And she has so much insight on just, I would say we have similar backgrounds. I might have gone through things a little bit faster than she did as far as timing. But we've had a few conversations where I'm like, I remember we were talking because when we worked together, we were outside and we had this conversation. And I was like, man, that needed to be recorded because that could have helped so many people. Yeah. And so now we're here recording and you're further along in your process. And now you get to help other people. How cool is that? We literally had this hour-long conversation. And at the end, I was like really disappointed that nobody was going to hear it because I feel like it was so impactful for the two of us
It was.
and healing.
Yeah.
I'm really excited because Caroline has a major part of a story to tell, and she's on the other side of it now. So I just kind of want to go through because Caroline is a winner and she filled out her form as our guests are supposed to. There's only one guest that has gotten away with not signing the form, and we're not ever going to tell who it was, ever. So within her form, I'm just going to read what you wrote because I think it really intros kind of what we want to talk about today, and it will lead into kind of you just introducing yourself and your story. And then
Okay.
I'll just let you talk for a while.
Sounds good.
Okay. So Caroline went from married to divorced to being in a healthy relationship while building two businesses that are becoming successful, all while raising two boys. From always putting others first to learning who she is and putting her needs first to better herself as a person and a mom. And I get chills when I read this because people don't know you like the before you.
No. So the before me, I was always family first. I didn't put myself first at any point. I had the kids. I had a husband that decided not to work, and he was the stay-at-home dad. And so I was the one working all the time. And so I was coming home and juggling how to be a mom, how to switch my brain from work mode to mom mode, and then got the kids ready and did all the dinner stuff, did all the parenting stuff. And at the end of the night, it was just exhausting. And I had my second child in 2021, and I experienced the worst postpartum depression I've ever experienced. I've only had two live births, so I just don't know how bad it could have gotten until I got to that point.
Yeah.
It got bad enough to where I couldn't form sentences. I was just so out of it that I couldn't juggle and figure things out just to be able to find out, okay, does the baby need a bottle or do they need a diaper change? I mentally was just too exhausted to go anywhere, do anything. And my husband just sat at home and said, the baby needs this, the baby needs that, and didn't help me or support me in any way or fashion. At that point, I decided to go into therapy because that's when COVID was around, and I was afraid of having my youngest was also a preemie. So having to deal with COVID and a preemie and just the fear factor of if my preemie gets COVID, he's a goner. And that fear and that drive of not being able to go anywhere or do anything. It was just too much for me to handle.
I also want to bring another aspect into your story that you were a stepmom as
I was.
well.
Yeah, I was. Yes.
And still are, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Just
doesn't
in a
go
different
away
capacity.
completely. Yeah, a different capacity, right? Which is okay. Relationships change,
Yeah.
situations change, and that's on that side a little bit out of your control. There, you can only do so much, right?
Yes.
But I think it's really important to know that you were juggling not only all of those things, but also being a stepmom is y'all bitches deserve a crown of its own stature. Like, that is hands down something I've experienced a couple of times, but not in my healthy, healed version of myself. And when you're not a healthy, healed version of yourself and you're juggling all the things, it can be just the icing on top of the cake that just leads you to deep insanity. And so to be able to juggle all of that, it doesn't matter that your head was like barely above water as long as you were still breathing,
Yeah.
is how I feel like when things like that
Mm-hmm.
are happening simultaneously.
Yes.
And so you have all these things, you have a worldwide event like COVID
Mm-hmm.
happening, and you're losing your identity as you make sure everyone else is formed and
It was.
okay.
And not only that, my husband was dealing with PTSD and depression and a lot of other mental things going on. That was when he was in the army. And he never sought help for it, except he was projecting that onto our family. And so our family was very high tense. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of hurt. There was a lot of not happy moments. And when I started therapy, I was originally in there for COVID because I was so scared of what it could do to my family. And we never got COVID. We were lucky enough not to. But as things had started to work in therapy, I realized that things drastically needed to change in my own life.
Yeah.
I could not function anymore, and it was at a head to where something had to give. And it was either going to be my marriage, it was going to be my life, it was going to be my kids, it was going to be work, it was going to be a whole slew of things.
Yeah.
And so one night I ended up having a vivid dream that still sticks to me today. It was this wolf, a black wolf. It was my son, my oldest son, me, and my husband. We went into this cabin, and all of a sudden, there's this pack of wolves scratching at the door. And just this fear coming up of what do we do? They're coming in to eat us. What are we going to do? And my husband said, we're going to go and hide in the closet. And I said,
Mm,
no, we need to get out. We need to get out. They're about to get through the door. We can't hide in the closet. So he ended up hiding in the closet. My son and I went through this little laundry chute door to the outside, and we just booked it for the woods. And this was in the middle of the night. I had no idea where we were. And my son and I were just trying to get away from the cabin. And the dogs were still barking and trying to go towards getting into the door, but they were not coming around the cabin. And I thought that was strange. And then I started tiptoeing and walking away from the cabin. And there's this black wolf who I was assuming the alpha, just literally dead set in my eyes, bright blue eyes, just watching me walk away. And I just said, thank you. And my son and I left and we got to safety.
wow.
And I'm very passionate about dreams and them telling us what's happening in our lives or what's going on. So I had Googled what Black Wolves in a Dream does, and it was about this power and this feeling of wanting to take control of your life and just keep moving forward and just to let things go. And that's when my work really started. was that I was letting go of the facade and the false sense of security that I had with having a marriage and a family. And I knew I was not going to have.
That's fucking powerful.
It is.
That, okay, we have to stop there and unpack some stuff real quick and then you can keep going. First of all, dreams. If you're watching this and you are a dream interpreter, reach out because I want to know more. Not chat is great and Google is great. And I also chat my dreams
Yeah.
just because sometimes, most of the time, the dreams don't mean what is actually happening
No.
in the dream. It's deeper than that. And I've had dreams where my teeth are falling out and it's more about that your anxiety and it's like letting you know where your nervous system is.
Yeah.
And there's so much more. So if you do the dream thing, let me know because I'll have you on and then we can call in her and see. So I think that's so profound for two reasons. One, because you're aware enough to think, oh, I had this dream. What does it mean?
Yeah.
And then actually apply it to your life. And two, just the fact that you remember your dreams. I know we don't remember them all,
Yeah.
but I feel, and I can talk about this for hours, but dreams are so fascinating to me. But you had a dream and you listened to it, you dove a little bit deeper, and you applied it to your life in a way that gave you power.
Yes.
And I think that's really important to notice.
Yes.
But also, I have a question because you have two kids and only one was in the dream.
Only one was.
Interesting.
And it was my oldest. And this dream also came. I didn't give birth at that time.
Oh,
So
okay.
this was early 2021, and I had my youngest late 2021.
Oh, okay.
And so I was still pregnant. So maybe it was chalked up to the wild pregnancy dreams that you can have, but this one stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I knew something needed to change.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Also, just the fact that I think we need to unpack a little bit that you weren't trying to take anything away from your husband. You weren't trying to blame. You weren't trying
No,
to fix, right?
no,
Because that's not your responsibility.
it's not.
Like one of those lead a horse to water,
Yes.
horse has to drink
Now,
type things.
I will say that my marriage was not healthy.
Yeah.
It was very bad. We never communicated. Any issues that we had was always brushed underneath the rug, and it was never talked about or it was never dealt with. We never heard each other. I didn't hear him, he didn't hear me. And so it was, as soon as my second son came, it was a lot harder. But we were already in a very unhealthy, unstable relationship, and it just got worse.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted more for my kids. I knew I wanted more for myself. There was a lot of things I wanted to go see, do, and hear, and he wanted no part of it. He
Yeah.
wanted to stay at home. He had his own issues, and his home was his safe place. And so I decided to make the leap in 2020 to go into real estate. And from working a 9 to 5 salary job and then jumping into a industry that wasn't going to be a very stable job.
No way.
And I jumped before COVID hit. And once COVID hit, I thought to myself, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? And I didn't. And was very successful now. But during all this, I was still able to work. I was still able to provide an income. And I knew in order to get where I wanted to be, my income would have to have doubled. And my husband did not want to work. He didn't want to contribute more financially. He was on VA disability, and that was it. And that was not enough for us as a family to grow.
Yeah.
And so it took me a very long time to feel comfortable in my own skin and to figure out, okay, who am I? What do I want to do in my life? And how do I get there?
Yeah.
And so I decided through a lot of working with my therapist to make the jump into real estate full time and figure out how do I make this work and how do I still provide an income and have food on the table for my family. And I was working a lot because real estate doesn't work, it doesn't stop.
Sleep.
Yeah,
Ever.
ever.
Yeah.
And my husband didn't like that. I was always on my phone. I was always working. A lot of the things I was doing was not healthy because I was disassociating with being on my phone at night. And
Yeah.
it was not work related. It was, I can't function. And I knew what I needed to do was not in a realm that I was okay with. I knew I needed to break up my family. And that was a decision that took about 1.5 years for me to be okay with because I went through the emotions of it. I went through, okay, what does this actually look like right now versus what can it look like after?
So, real quick, I want to make it very clear that although our podcast is very about empowerment, Emmy's married. and and I am not, so yin and yang, but my point is that we do empowerment. We definitely learn from every person who comes on, but in no way are we saying you have to
Don't,
get
no,
divorced.
you don't need to get divorced. You
Yeah.
need to do something that works for you. And if divorce is not something that you want to do, there's so many ways out there that you can do it.
Yeah.
I just ended up having a partner that did not want to work on our marriage. We've tried multiple times in different multiple ways, and it just didn't work. And I could not keep going.
Yeah. And at this point, I personally feel, and there's going to be a lot of people that disagree, and that's okay. But I feel like this is when you have to decide to choose you. Because if you don't choose you, nobody else will. And your life already was showing you you were sinking
I was
and
completely drowning.
nobody came to your rescue.
No.
You know what I mean? And yet you were having to pull everyone up, make sure everyone's okay, take care of all of the things. Let me tell you, women want to be in their relationships, and I can't speak for all women, of course, but for the most part, we can go out and be very masculine in our jobs, in our expectations out in the world. And when we get home, we want to be fucking babies.
We want to be pampered.
I just don't want to make a fucking decision. I want to be able to take the decision hat off. I just want to be. So there was a video that I reposted a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, but this man gave an example. Your woman wants to be in an airport with you and not know what time the flight is, not know where the bags are, but know that you got all of that.
Yeah.
They just want to be their glorious selves with you. And that is when they feel safe.
Yeah.
They feel happy and loved,
Secure.
secure. And all a man has to do is be like, all right, babe, flight's at blah, 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 let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, let's go, right? But I have to feel safe in order to get to that point where I can trust you to take over and everything's going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Because I can do all that shit on my own. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I can, obviously, we've done it for years, done all of these things,
Yeah.
everything from start to finish, like the time blocking, the appointment making, the cleaning, the cooking. Okay, I can say my ex-husband cooked way better than me, and he was a great cook, and he took that over. So I won't pretend like I did that. I was very lucky in that way. But we can do all of the things on our own. Because guess what? There's DoorDash. So, do I need someone to cook for me? No. Would I enjoy it? Sure. Is it a expectation? No. Because if you as a man can't do something, to me, it's if you can't do it, have the means to make it happen, like TaskRabbit, right? If you aren't like a construction type dude, fine. But be financially stable enough that you can pay someone to come and do it so I still don't have to think about it. And if you're a man and you think that's too much, go find less because you can.
Yeah.
But it exists.
Yeah. I personally am too much of a control freak for that. So it's really hard for me to just let go and have somebody else do it.
But if you trust someone and you know they can get it done, I guarantee you it'll be so nice when you can set that down. You just haven't experienced it yet
I
fully.
have a little bit because of my current relationship. During trying to find who I am and what I want to be, I realized I have no idea who I am. I don't know what my hobbies are. What did I like to do before I had kids? What did I like to do when I was before this relationship? Because I was with my husband since I was 19. So I never experienced my 20s, going out in my 20s. I never experienced the college dorm life. And so I'm like, what am I missing out on? What are the experiences? Because I settled down very young. And I've had a lot of people throughout my whole life saying, don't settle down. Go live your life. This is your only time you can go live. Go make the dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
And I didn't listen. Instead, I thought, oh,
I know
I'm
everything.
yes, I'm gonna go and settle down and have a family and have a marriage because I thought that's what you
We're supposed to
were supposed
do.
to do. And I'm glad that I did that. I don't
Wouldn't
have,
change it for the world.
I exactly. I am glad I got married to that person because I'm now the person I am because of all these experiences. So I realized, okay, something needs to change. And I knew deep down that I had to divorce my husband.
Yeah.
And I didn't
I
know what.
remember because we would talk about it. And because I was going through mine at that time.
Yes.
And I didn't want to be like an influence, but I also wanted you to feel empowered and know that you deserve love. That's it wasn't even about I remember telling you like don't get divorced. I don't do what I'm doing if
Right.
it's not right for you. But do know that you fucking matter and
Exactly.
that you deserve the love that you want.
And it took me a long time to figure that out.
Yeah. I
And
would say it took you a lot less long than a lot of people because it took me 4 years to leave, maybe more. And I think I knew really early on, but I didn't want to accept it. Same thing,
Mhm.
but we're not supposed to get divorced. I wasn't going to be that girl. I wasn't going to be part of that statistic because I held on to the few things that I did like and settled in that and was like, this is enough because it had to be because I wasn't going to be the girl who had two baby daddies. I wasn't going to be the girl who walked out on her marriage. And I didn't have any support. Nobody was like, fuck yeah, you deserve like all the things. And I'm so proud of you. People were like, bitch, what are you doing? You're like, are you having an early midlife crisis? What is your fucking problem? And I'm like, bitch, you don't know because you don't live my life. So stop trying to tell me what to do when you don't, you're asking because you don't know. I'm trying to tell you and you're not hearing what I'm saying.
Exactly.
And when you don't feel heard,
Yep.
when you feel judged, when you feel ostracized, there's all these examples, but there's not a ton of examples of maybe what I was to you, where
Right.
someone was like, you do you, whatever is right for you is what you have to do. There's no judgment, but I love you. I think you're amazing
Yeah.
and you are powerful and you deserve the best. And if he's the one to give it to you, then great. If you can get there, fuck yeah. Power to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
But settling and pretending something is what it's not, or falling in love with potential, or accepting less because you're afraid of what people will say about you or becoming part of the statistic is the problem.
Yeah.
And then there's the second piece of that, which is like, what are you showing your kids?
Exactly.
And people would say, you're showing your kids that you're selfish and that you can't commit and that you're ripping your family apart. Okay, I see that. But what they see long term is that I chose myself. And what my daughter now knows is that she doesn't have to stay in any fucking situation. I don't
Yeah.
care how deep she's in. I don't care what she said 5 minutes ago. If she changes her mind in 5 minutes, guess who the fuck will be at her doorstep with my U-Haul ready to fucking beep, let's go.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And my daughter knows that she can speak that and feel that. She's allowed to change her mind.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was allowed to change my mind. I didn't have any support in that. And I still did it anyway.
And that's great.
Yeah. And I'm
You,
very happy. My circle is a lot smaller.
yes.
Like,
Well,
but I'm happy.
and like when you go through this process, I know I realize who my real friends are
Yeah.
because they were the ones that actually showed up when my divorce was going on, and it was the worst time of my life.
Yeah.
And so my oldest is now 11, and my husband and I were married for 5.5 years, but together for 12 and a half once by the time the divorce ended. And so it was a lot of trauma that I had to deal with that was unraveling all at the same time within the 6 months of the divorce. And throughout my, once I made the decision to divorce, I knew I was ready when I was able to handle my own emotions about it, also handle my kids' emotions.
And I also did therapy for my kids. I did a 10-week intensive program for my kiddos that really, I can't remember if it was once or twice a week, but it was a big deal. And they were able to get some tools. Like
Yeah.
it made a difference, I know, for my daughter for sure. My son had some other stuff that was going on, but it was a good support system. It was a good start for him.
Yes.
Another thing is, I think it's really important is that the kids have someone outside of their immediate parents to talk about things because they're so afraid of disappointing or letting down either parent. No matter how much you say,
Yeah.
they have their own reservations and perception of what's happening.
Exactly.
And so giving them something, it's something that I highly recommend for anyone who goes through the situation. Talk to your PCP
Yeah.
and find out what they can do. Because the first doctor I went to was awful. She was like, here's a list, call. And it's
Yeah.
COVID at this point. And I'm like, so I would go home every night and I'd be in tears by the end of the night because I'm like making these calls and nobody calls me back because their voicemails would be like, oh, I'm full. I'm not taking any new.
Or
And then
it's,
kids alone, finding something for kids
yes,
too was so challenging.
it is because it's very hard to find. You don't mesh with every single therapist. And that's the same with the kids too.
Yeah.
So
Except for with kids and COVID,
it's
you're just
probably,
desperate.
yes.
You just kind of have to take the leap when you found something then. But good news, we're out of that.
Yeah.
And you probably have a little bit more resources opening up. So you won't be in tears, hopefully, the way that I was. But also, our clinic had closed down. And I was like, oh my God. At first, I saw it as this because I'm dramatic. I'm like, my life is over. I keep trying and I get shut down and I'm like bawling, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a blessing because then we ended up going to another place, South Sound Peds, oh my God, I couldn't say enough
Life changing.
good things. Yes. And I went in and I told my story the same way that I told it to the last place. And here's this nonprofit, here's this intensive care program, here's this person. We got to get it going, we got to get it moving and shaking. And I was like, who even are you? Like,
That just goes to show the people that are actually wanting to help will throw everything
yeah.
at you and say, here you go, and actually have passion behind it.
Yeah, I was like shocked, but also I was more so shocked that it was so easy once it started flowing. And then also my point is that when the takeaway from that is that when everything seems like it's burning to the ground, have that speck in you that remembers I can rebuild as long as it burns fully.
Yeah.
So burn that shit. Like
I
burn it down.
I was going through like all the motivational speeches and the
Did you
memes.
watch TED Talks?
Not no, not necessarily.
How? I made you guys watch TED Talks every time I ran a training.
Yes,
It
and
didn't
that is
stick.
why. No,
You got annoyed by
I
them.
the monotone of TED Talks. Okay,
You're not monotone.
some of them are. And I'm like, okay, I can't. I don't have the brain power to.
You were also at that point at a very low capacity too. So everyone like perceives things differently.
Yeah.
So what were a few of your favorite things that you did self-help wise and learning how to love yourself? And now how has that changed?
So when I first started, I was listening to this podcast person. Her name's Kylie Lately, and she's based out of Australia. And she was going through a divorce a couple of years prior. And she ended up writing this huge handbook called Surviving Separation. And so I purchased it. And also, one of her other ones was essentially like finding out who you are, who you want to be, who's your identity.
Was that like your first?
That was my very first introduction. It was probably late 2021, early 2022, and just trying to figure out, what do I want? How do I want it?
Who the fuck am I?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was so lost. I was so lost. But those two things were what started everything.
Yeah.
I started listening to a lot of motivational podcasts. I started following people that were more in the realm of where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So people who were obviously social media, you only see very glimpses of people. I made sure to always have something in front of me when I open up.
So you change your algorithm, right?
I did.
Because now I'll catch myself finding things interesting and I'll open it and I'll be like, damn it. Because now then I watch it and I realize that's not something I want to watch. But now I'm for 6 months trying to fix my algorithm
Yes.
because I'm like, I don't want that. Like you label it as I want to see less of
Yes.
this. Like changing your algorithm is really important because and learning what you want to see because your algorithm is going to shoot more at you than that it thinks you want to see.
Yeah.
And so if you want to see, I don't know, just whatever negative things, because we tend to be drawn to like the negative. So fixing your algorithm is super important because
Yes.
what over and over subconsciously is what you're going to take in and then put back out into the world.
I was also, during this time, I was also at a very unhealthy weight. And I was having a lot of health problems all at the same time of trying to figure myself out and feeling so stressed. And so I went to the doctor and got all the tests run to figure out, okay, what's going on. And I got onto all the medications that I was supposed to be on and tried dieting and exercise. I'm like, the weight's not coming off. I'm doing everything that they're telling me to do. Why is this not working? And as soon as I made the decision that I was like, okay, I'm going to let go of my marriage. Kid you not, 10 pounds dropped off like that. And I was like, oh, so this is stress related. My weight, I'm not losing it because of the amount of stress that my body is hanging on. And so I then started making more changes to not only because of my weight, but because of I it needed to change. I was at a breaking point. My body could not handle this anymore. And it was either I need to get my health in check or things are going to go down the hill too fast for me to keep going. And so I just made that decision and I was starting all these changes. And my husband was not a fan of it. He was not a fan of my weight dropping. He was not a fan of all of my mental work I was doing on myself.
So this I can also speak to because when you start loving yourself and choosing yourself, and the people, especially the ones closest to you, I will say, see you doing it, but they can't make that same choice. They can't bring it upon themselves to take those steps. So when they see you doing that, it makes them angry. Like,
It does.
and I don't think that they're intentionally trying to be like an asshole or hate on you. It's just their unhealthy reaction to not being able to get their shit together,
Yeah.
which is also a them thing and not a you thing. But sometimes understanding why people get so mad and call you selfish. Everyone told me how selfish I was when I started choosing me. When I stopped doing the things that were convenient to them, but very hard on me, they would get pretty upset.
And that's where my it was hard for me to keep loving myself and keep going with what I wanted because I was always trying to make sure everybody was fine and every person not only had their stuff together but was okay. And when my husband said, "I you're changing. Why are you changing?"
That's what I got too. Like
And
how the change, they don't like the change because they just want to stay in their comfortable bubble with you where they
yeah,
felt like it, of course it all worked out for them. It was easy for them and they didn't know how hard it was because we're really good at doing what we do for a while until
yeah,
we're not. And then we're crazy.
yes. And he was not a fan of it. He did not like the way I was changing. He didn't like that I was putting boundaries in place for
Yep.
myself, for others. I was no longer going to subject myself to all the anger and the tension in the house. I could not stand it.
Because when
So,
you make a decision, you want to create that peace almost immediately.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was doing this for my kids. I wanted my kids to see how a marriage is supposed to work, how to love somebody and still be able to function as adults as your own separate people
Yeah.
and not be so codependent. I was codependent
Preach. Me
to
too.
a point where it was just very unhealthy. And I did not want that for my kids. I wanted them to I wanted to show my kids a better version of me.
Yes. But also, we have to talk about something we were talking about before we filmed while we were eating. Where it was like, I know you got married very young, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get married, but I had a baby I was pregnant at 20 and had a baby at 21.
Same.
And so I didn't have, even though I didn't have another adult in the house with me because I was a single parent, I had another life that I was keeping alive and living with me. I had never lived, even though I lived by myself with my child, I had never been in a house as an adult by myself until the last couple of years. And when I tell you I wasn't fucking ready for that,
Yeah.
when it happened, and I did not have healthy reactions to
Yeah.
being alone, with going from this codependency I didn't realize I had because and it didn't matter. It wasn't even a relationship with a man. It was like friendships. You fill the void however you can fill the
Yeah.
void.
Yeah.
And so whenever I
You were
first lived alone, I literally, but when I first got my apartment by myself, I didn't realize I had never been
alone.
because before that I lived with my mom and my brother, right? I had never been in a house or apartment, whatever, by myself ever. And when I tell you that I cleaned and then I cleaned again, and the kids were, it was their dad's week. And I sat on the couch and I cried because I don't know what to do with myself. What you do is you fucking face the mirror. You face yourself and you be like, wow, I'm really unhealthy in this way.
I had the same exact thing.
But I drank a lot. And that's people handle things differently. I could admit when I would call it a stage. You try to fill that void. So I was filling the void with alcohol and people, like being out with people instead of being home alone and
It was
recognizing
uncomfortable.
it was uncomfortable. Now, y'all, we are in my house. This is my favorite chair in my whole house. Yes,
Look
you
at that.
do. You're so special. I don't let anybody,
I
just
know.
anybody, sit in this
I
chair.
know.
But my home is my sanctuary now. And let me tell you how hard it is to get me out of this house. When people are like, oh, let's go do this, I'm like, like I
Yeah.
listen to audiobooks, I clean. Sometimes I take a bath. Oh, it gets
Look at
real like
you.
crazy. I get real crazy these days, but I'm so comfortable and I feel so safe in my own space now that, and this is what we were talking about, is like you
Mhm.
fall in love with being alone to when these opportunities come for someone to potentially move in, roommate, relationship, whatever. You're like, no,
Yeah.
thank you.
I
Like it's not like a absolute no, but it's a no for now for sure.
yeah.
Because I just have fallen in love with my own space.
I think you also fell in love with your own sense of security.
Yeah. Or myself. I love me.
Yeah, and you're not seeking the external validation of
Yeah.
that. And so that's where I'm at now, where I feel like I've done the hard work. I
Yeah.
still have a lot of work, left
Always.
to
It's a
do,
journey.
but I have been thrown into situations where I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm living on my own now.
Mhm.
And when I was going through my divorce, I had moved out of my own house that I was paying for. And because my husband did not want to leave the house.
Yeah.
And so he attempted suicide, and it was not safe for myself or my kids to go back home.
Yeah.
So we were stuck. This was New Year's Eve 2025. Yeah, 2025. And we only had enough clothes for 2 days, like New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day. We were supposed to go back home, and it was just not safe for us to go back home. And I ended up never going back.
Yeah.
I lived in my parents' trailer for 2.5 months. And I was dealing with a lot of health problems still and having the kids full time with my parents helped. And I'm grateful for that. But it's different because it's not the other half, the other parent.
Yeah.
And I really had to be humble and rely on people. And that was a big learning experience. I had to learn to be okay with asking for help.
Or be okay with not being okay. But I think a huge part of growth is learning that when you're at your worst, which will happen again and again, it doesn't stop happening. You just get better at it. You get more tools
Yeah.
so that you can attack things in different and healthier ways. But accepting that not being okay is okay. I can sit in this, like,
Yeah.
because I know when I'm not okay, I will be okay eventually. Because I've faced 100% of my worst days already, and I'm still here. And then I'll look at what's happening and I'll be like, I'll literally laugh. Sometimes I laugh at myself because I'll be like, bitch, why are you crying over that? You went through XYZ and you're crying over,
Well,
okay.
it,
A red light made me cry the other day because it was just the end of my day and I missed it. And I was like, I just want to be like, I just want to be home.
yeah.
So we all have our emotions. Like,
Throughout this whole thing, I've learned a lot about the nervous system
yeah,
and about like when your nervous system is out of whack, you are out of whack. You have to regulate yourself. And I didn't know how to regulate myself. I had no idea, not only for myself, but for my kids. I had no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of trial and error, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But I was in my parents' trailer and then I moved into a rental, quickly realized a rental life is not my
Oh, I
thing.
remember.
And I broke my lease 3 months in, and I said, you know what? Let's see if I can even try to buy a house. Like, not thinking anything of it to, I just went through this massive financial thing, paying an attorney and going through all that, but trying to, how can I do this on my own? How can I buy a house on my own? And I'm a real estate agent. You would think I know it would.
Right?
And I'm now on my third house. I bought my third house. And so I was able to actually get into it. And in June, it'll be a year since I bought. And
I'm so fucking proud of you. Seriously, huge congratulations. To do it by yourself and to be under financial strain, but still be like giving yourself that pep talk.
I can do it.
Yeah.
And the phrase that I stuck through my entire, this whole journey was trust the process.
Yeah.
I had to literally trust that things were going to work out.
And so about that part is that I think that when you trust the process, you detach yourself from the end result completely, which is for people like us a task. It is
Yes.
so hard to let go of the end result that because that's what we do. We set a goal. We see the end result, and that's what gives us our drive. So to detach from the thing that drives your day to day is like, what am I even doing?
It was also really pushing control.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it. I want that, this got to be done now. Why is my attorney not getting this done right now? Why does it take a week for them to draft up a letter? I'm like, okay, I understand. I'm not the only case they have, but come on, guys, let's get this going. Can we get this done?
You're like, fuck, I'll write the letter.
Yeah. At one point, I was
Like, chat, how do I write this letter?
I'm paying this attorney a lot of money, and I felt like I was not getting anything back from them.
Which low key is why I'm going to law school.
But just, and here's a plug-in. When you go buy a house, you want to have somebody that's professional enough to know exactly what to do. So I hired an attorney to help with my divorce. I don't know what I'm doing.
You're like, I sell houses. I don't know how to do this. Help.
Exactly. And also my husband was not willing to sign the papers when I had drafted them myself. And he was fighting me on every aspect, and I needed somebody in my corner.
Yeah.
And luckily I did have somebody in my corner. If I didn't have anybody, I don't think that I would have been able to get where I am today. Yeah. And throughout this whole thing, I had to literally trust that things were just going to work out.
Yeah.
And I had to just keep going. And eventually things started to fall into place and I could start to breathe. And at this time, I was still losing weight. I was still trying to figure out who I was. The weeks that I didn't have my kids, I went out bowling almost every single night because I realized, oh my gosh, I love bowling. And so I would go multiple times a week. And it was just my way of coping through everything.
Yeah. You chose bowling. I chose a liquor bottle. It's fine.
I don't drink very much, and it's partly because of my husband. He always drank a lot, and I'm like, okay, somebody has to be sober.
Yeah.
So I stopped drinking as much, and I hardly ever drink now. But
I don't drink now, for the record.
and I just recently hired a mindset coach, and
Oh, tell me more.
she has unlocked a lot of things. I'm trying to heal my inner child.
Yeah.
All this because there's a lot of things happening that was just fighting my own self. And I'm like, why is this triggering something?
Yeah.
And it was triggering.
Pause. You asked yourself why. This is an important part of the process because oftentimes our bodies try to tell us what's happening and we ignore it,
Yes.
or we allow our autopilot or our training that we've trained ourselves to take over. And you have to be able to say, oh, that's interesting. Why did I feel that? And
Yeah.
then dig deep. Where did that come from? And you have to follow the trail that likely
Yes.
will lead to a childhood memory that you have to be like, oh, does this even serve me now?
Yeah. And
I don't have to carry this. So then you can either let it go or
right.
decide, oh, that's a little deeper that happened. I need to focus on this a little bit and see where it takes me so that I can get to the point where I can release it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're safe now.
I'm safe. Yes, I'm safe now. I'm still, there's still parts of me that are still afraid
Yeah.
because your nervous system always goes back to the last thing it remembers.
Yeah.
So if it was a negative thing, it will always pull from that. So my negative responses were always because of my husband and the way that our marriage was and the way that our relationship was from the get go.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have anything positive to rewire my brain and my body.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in a relationship now where it's healthy and we're able to have the hard conversations. We're able to have two very independent people come together and share the same space. Now,
That's
we still
beautiful.
have a lot to grow as individuals and in a
But you're
relationship.
willing to do it together.
Yes.
And every day you choose each other.
Yes.
All the healthy things.
He is night and day from my ex.
Yeah.
100%. He's got a lot of good things about him that I am like, I want that for myself. And so I learned from
Like it
him. And
inspires you.
so one of the things is that he always asks, he never tells. He never says, go do this, go do that. Hey, can you go or can you do this for me? Would you like me to help with XYZ?
So I did the opposite where I thought that's what I wanted, but I don't. I do, but I don't. But I do realize I'm a little more psychotic than most. But I thought that I wanted someone who asks me all the time. But for me, it then turned into, and I think that it's the way that you do it too.
Yeah.
It's just something I learned about myself is if you ask me and I have to fucking tell you, that's another thing on my list that I have to do. I don't like it. If you've known me for this long and you don't know the basics, and you ask me the same thing over and over again, that's when I have a problem. And I'm like, I don't have the capacity to teach you how to love me. And so I think it's a balance for sure. But I trigger out on things that I thought in the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. Because I thought it was communication when really it stopped. It stopped at a certain point and it didn't grow. So I'm sure,
Yeah.
and once I get into a relationship that's healthy, and there should be questions, but then
Yeah.
you learn from that question, and then you don't have to ask it again.
Like,
So there's like a
it's
fine line.
but it's different for me because I noticed when doing my mindset work, like what's triggering is when somebody says, do this, do that, and I don't respond well with somebody telling me what to do. And my current relationship, he's really great at just asking, and I feel the difference. I let my guard down to where I'm accepting he's asking me to do, and I'm willing to do it.
Because you feel full and safe and
Exactly.
heard. Yeah.
If he were to say tell instead of ask, I would immediately shut down because my body would remember the times that was
And then you would
I
resent.
exactly.
Yeah.
And my marriage was full of resentment. It was
Yeah.
full of just scorekeeping.
Yeah. Oh, my marriage was also tit for tat.
So
I,
I don't want that anymore. I
yeah,
don't want it
me
at
neither.
all. And that's across
0%.
my work, that's across my relationships, that's with
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
And so I've had
Oh,
to
yeah.
throughout this process learn, where does this stuff stem from? What points in my life? Where does it show up?
Yeah.
And that's the work that I'm doing with my coach, is that she helps me name the stories. She helps me go through and say, okay, why you're placing the blame on somebody else.
So my sister used to say, if you point a finger at someone, you're pointing three more back at yourself.
Yeah.
And I took that very serious. I think that's when my work actually started, but it was like so little. But that was the seed planted. But then I overtook responsibility for everything, which isn't healthy either.
No.
But that really is, you have to look internal. I always say, could I have done anything differently to get a different result? And if I can say no, then I know it's not me. It's not work that has to be done within me. I did what I could do, and then I have to be okay with leaving it and not overcompensating or overfixing or trying to things that are not meant for me.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge part of my learning too. But that's super important, is like when we go to blame people, what first? Is there anything I could have done differently? Because I want to take responsibility for my part in this before I blame, not even blame, but try to communicate what I need in this. And when you're talking to someone who's not healed, their inner child comes out and their toxic or their mirror comes out. And that's what I've learned, is like, I just am not even going to participate in this conversation because it's not going to go anywhere, because my needs are falling on deaf ears, even though I've taken responsibility, and you are not healthy enough to reciprocate. So, what are we even doing?
And I think also a part of it is that you have to build the awareness. You have to build. So, what I was taught was that don't do anything about any situation. Just as soon as you realize you're getting angry, go, or any kind of emotion, oh, I'm getting angry. Okay. And then just go on with your day. Oh, I'm getting nervous. Okay, get on with your day. And then don't do anything about it, but just get the awareness.
Yes.
And then once you have that awareness built up enough, you can start to go, oh, I'm getting nervous. Okay, why am I getting nervous?
And then later you start deep diving and you
then
attach it
and then
to
you deep
what is
dive.
it attached to and why, where is it going from? And then eventually you get to the point where you can release it so that you
Yes.
don't have that heavy weight on you anymore, because subconsciously we carry that.
Yes. And I carry it in my weight.
Yeah.
And so as I am working through all this, I've lost 30 pounds since my divorce.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel a lot better. I am much better health wise. I am getting off of blood pressure medications. So it's getting off of the things that I no longer have to use is amazing.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but the physical changes, because I was always having this negative self-talk of about the way I look.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, you know what? I actually look pretty good.
Yeah. Also, little plug, I have my affirmation packs coming out, which go on your window or on your mirror, and you can work on affirmations to rewire your brain, because I believe we should love ourselves at every stage, because your body was giving you what you needed in the moment.
Yes.
So although it didn't look right, it's your body was telling you something's off, right?
Something's off. The weight's staying on because it's not safe to let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now things are safer to be able to let the stress and the weight go.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to keep working on myself, and I am keep still working on myself, but I'm a much better version of myself than I was back in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And I've done so much work between now and then, and I still continue to grow and change. Us humans always change, even if we don't like change. Like myself, I hate change, but I know it's and I just have to trust that process.
Yeah. You look amazing. You are definitely a different person sitting in front of me than even last summer. you've been through a lot, and I think it's important that we recognize our, not even our wins, but just our, like, how far we've come.
Mm.
And I think it's so important that we share what we've been through so that, just as I talked to you in the beginning, planted seeds or
Yeah.
tried my best to,
Yes.
whatever I could, however I could help and be there for you. But I just feel like we owe it to ourselves, but to the ones that haven't made it through the muck yet.
And I feel you can't force anybody to jump ready to.
And
Like,
I told you that. I said,
yes.
you'll know when, did I not say?
Yes,
I
you
said,
did
when
say.
you know, you will know. Like,
Yes, and I did tell you, I remember telling you that's bullshit. Like,
yeah, you
you
looked at
know,
me like I was fucking crazy, and you were like, I'm not ready yet. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
yeah,
And I didn't pressure you. I just was like, I hear you.
no, and I also think that things will happen when they need to happen, and just trust that universe or the God or whoever
Whatever you
you're,
believe in.
whatever you believe in, will put you in a place where you're ready to make those changes.
But also, if you're a friend of someone going through something,
Yes. You were a huge inspiration for me,
oh,
not only because of what you were going through, but because I literally saw you coming into the office and I'm like, okay, something's definitely off. And I remember one day coming right up to you and I said, are you okay? And you told me, you're like, wow, your intuition is spot. And I saw what you were going through and you still showed up.
yeah.
You showed up for yourself. You showed up for our team. You showed up for your kids. And I'm like, wow, if she can do it, okay, then maybe I can do it. And that wasn't my jumping point, but that was also giving me the validation that I needed to move forward with a decision that was going to hurt.
Yeah. And again, I want to be perfectly clear. I never once told this woman to divorce her husband.
No.
I just said, love yourself and communicate, and
Yeah.
here's what I feel and what I'm doing. And but it had to do with me and my inner work that I had already started years before. So when I say, if you're a friend of someone, sometimes there's times that we would talk where I would be like, do you want my opinion, or do you just want, like,
Do you want to
what do
be
you
said?
need? Yeah, because sometimes people just need that capacity. They don't have capacity, they want to borrow yours. Now, I will say there's a difference between borrowing capacity and being an energy vampire, right?
Mhm.
You have to know, if I don't have space or capacity for you to hear your shit that day, I would have told you.
Yeah.
I can't today. Like,
Yeah.
let's check in next week on Tuesday.
I've had to learn how to set boundaries and keep them because if I am not consistent or if I let somebody into that boundary space, then they're going to keep doing it. And I've had to, especially with my ex-husband, have to set the boundaries of, we actually ended up just going email only for communication because
Like
in a
that.
couple months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I was email only and it worked for a while.
it did.
And we were able to come off of email only in a way where I think it just allowed that space for the calm down,
Yeah. And
and it changed everything.
it did because now my ex-husband and I are via text and call, but it's boundaries are still set if we only talk about the kids, talk about anything else. He still slips up, but I correct him and say, that's a boundary. Please don't tell me about XYZ.
Yeah,
And that's for me only. It's not for him. It's protecting my own sanity and it's protecting
your peace.
my peace and my
Mm, yeah,
and now I'm at a point where his communication is still snoozed because I'm not at a place where I feel like I'm good enough to have him just ping every single and hear that ping.
Yeah.
And so
It's weird, right? Because for me, it was like I did the same thing. And it's because I had this innate, like,
got to respond right now.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it helps me
because
that.
that's what we did. That's how we're trained, right?
Yes.
That's how we, and I'm not saying that the man trained us to do that. I'm saying that's how we trained our mind and our relationships.
That's this day and age where we have this pressure to feel like we have to respond right away.
Yeah.
And that's with emails, that's with work things,
Everyone.
that's with friends.
I will say with emails, though, emails help because I don't check them as often. And it helped me learn to not answer the text messages
Yeah.
right away because
Yeah.
I would see the email come down and I'd be busy. And then in a few hours, I'd get to it and I'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, that's actually not important.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it's in an email and not a text.
Yes.
And then as we transitioned back to text messaging, I was able to see them in a different perspective of, oh, this is actually important about the kids, or this is not at all important, and his happiness is not my responsibility anymore.
Yes. Where there's big things transitioning in our parenting agreement, and we've had to have a lot longer conversations via text. And I personally want everything in writing because I need to know what I need to have something to refer back to. Was that really the conversation we? It's not for anything more than that.
Yeah.
And I also want to keep it to where I want to hold him accountable. You never said XYZ, you said this,
Yeah.
and then send it.
Yeah.
And so
Because then you're just using facts,
I'm
right?
just using facts.
And that's a big part of it too, is sticking to the facts. What are the main points? What do you need? And it's not what you need. What do you need to support the kids?
Yes.
What's changing?
Yep.
How can I be of assistance?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
And I get to decide that
Exactly.
when it's not my week.
Exactly. And I'm always available when if something happens with the kids, but it's to a point now where it's more healthy for me to respond in ways where it's not emotionally triggered. It's not, and that's the growth that I've done, is to not automatically respond.
Yep.
So if it does trigger me, I don't respond.
Because you know now, you have recognized and become aware of what it feels like, what it does to your body, and you've labeled it, call it fire. So if you label it fire, oh, I feel
Reactive.
fire. I'm not, this is not something that I should do right now.
Yes.
I'll come back to it.
Yes.
And then having enough control to leave it.
Yes.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part, and also not enable.
Yep.
So there's things where I will want to say something out of spite, but it's
And you
not going
can't
to
do it
anybody.
either. And that's something I feel like I did early on was learn to model the behavior I expected. Because how can I ask of this from my kids, or how can I ask of this from my husband if I'm not doing it myself? And so I think a lot of my irritation and frustration came because I was modeling it for a very long time. I was communicating, modeling, and I was doing it patiently, which patience is not my thing.
No,
But I
either.
took the time and did the work to be patient enough to have these conversations in a healthier way,
Yeah.
and nothing changed.
Yep.
And I was like, now I've done everything that I can do. And if you're not willing to meet me, what's next? What does
Yeah.
that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like when you recognize things and you know exactly what you're willing to give on and what you're not willing to give on, it makes it much easier to sustain.
I agree.
What I didn't realize is that, yes, a divorce is a divorce, but you still are committed, especially if you have kids.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that until I was thrown into it. I still have to talk. I don't want to talk to them.
What?
I have no I want nothing to
I'm
do with
okay,
them.
so I'm a runner. I I've been very cut people off, make it go away, out of sight, out of mind my whole life. It's a survival technique. When you're in fight or flight, it's very common. And I'm not in fight or flight anymore.
Yeah.
And so I've had to learn to release with love. You
Mhm.
don't have to burn a bridge every time. It's okay that person was in your life and you both learned from each other in that time period and
Mhm.
that you just no longer align.
Yeah.
You don't have to have this big dramatic exit.
Yeah.
And for me, because I'm fucking drama, it's just me.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to make it an Oscar worthy performance every time I end a relationship or move on, just because that's how I was wired to think that you had to do it.
I also think because of TV back in the days of like
Yes,
MTV, you saw all those shows of this dramatic things
for
of
sure.
friendships, relationships, or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's how we're supposed to act. Okay, I
But
can work with
also, I didn't have a two-parent household, which there's a lot of people that don't, but
Mhm.
also just having one side always really stunted my understanding of how relationships for an example, I thought when someone fought, that was it. We're
Mhm.
done. I didn't because I didn't see that. My mom never fought with anybody. So I had only ever seen I just didn't understand. And so when my friends and I would fight, I'd be like, it would make me panic and I'd be like, oh my God, it's over. I've never
Yeah.
seen this.
Like when I was in my marriage, my husband and I would always fight, but then my kids never saw us actually come together and work it out. And I think that's where if you fight in front of kids or if fight in front of somebody, you have to also show them the other side of the
Yep.
fight.
But also, I think that I'm in a place in my life where my kids won't see me, they'll see me stand my ground and set my boundaries, but I
Mhm.
don't fight anymore.
Yeah.
There's nothing in me that would make me spend time, energy, and breath over explaining myself ever again. Yelling at you, that in itself is triggering for my own nervous system. I'm not talking, when I get upset, I go up an octave.
Yeah.
My voice gets really high. But don't yell per se.
Yeah.
Either I get really quiet because I know that's fucking scary with my kids. I'll be like, if you don't get your shoes on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can play with my voice a little bit, but I don't ever like shout at my kids anymore.
And that's one thing I'm still trying to learn because that's all that we would ever do in our family was yell, scream, like shouting matches to the point of the neighbors are going to hear us and they're going to call the
Yeah.
cops. And I'm trying to work on it. It's
So
hard.
I can tell you what changed it for me because Jor and I both read 0 to 60 at each other's throats, right?
Mm.
What really helped me, because I'm visual, was I pictured two lines. And here's one line that's going ragged up and down. And then there's one line that's the foundation.
Yeah.
I am 30 years old. And so I'm the adult. I have to be that foundation. That's the expectation of
Yeah.
me. They are allowed to go up and down because they don't have a fucking frontal lobe. They don't know what they don't know. I know I should know better.
Yeah.
And these are the conversations I would have with myself.
Right.
And it's okay if you have done all of these things before, but now we're in a place where we're taking responsibility. And when I would get mad with Jor, it came to a point where I would in through the nose, out through the mouth, and I would literally see myself as that fucking line. And I didn't shut down. I
Mm-hmm.
still held space when I could.
Yeah.
Or I would say, this is getting out of control. I see that you need space. I'm going to go downstairs. And when you're ready to talk and have a conversation, let's do it. But I
Yeah.
see that you're not ready for that. And that's okay because I'm also very upset. They need a baseline to come back to. And once I realized that I could be that for him, it settled my nervous system a little bit to know that I could give that to him.
Okay.
And so now we don't even fight. We don't.
Good.
We get into some conversations. We are
Yeah.
passionate, but we do not. There's been times where he has gone to the old way of like, which
Mm-hmm.
is cool. He's 16, he's about to be 17. He's allowed to. I, however, am not. allowed to do that. I'm allowed to feel, I'm allowed to set boundaries, and I'm allowed to walk away.
Right.
But I am not allowed to meet him there anymore
Yeah.
because I am his mother and I love him so much that I'm willing to be that foundation for him. And once I saw it that way, it made it a lot easier to become aware when it's happening, right? Like when you feel your nervous system doing certain things and you're like, oh, I feel that.
Yep.
It became something that I was aware of. And as
Yeah.
soon as I felt it, I would immediately, I'm going to walk away. We'll talk whenever we can. It doesn't have, just like text messages, it doesn't have to be right now.
Yep.
It's just harder because it's in person, because they're
Yes.
right in front of you and you want to kick them in the face.
As soon as I get the kids back from their dads, it's I know that this is going to be a hard couple of days until they transition fully
To your
into my
schedule.
yeah. And so I am mentally ready. And so I'm like, okay, I got this. We're good. And then things happen. I'm like, okay, I got this. We're good. Okay. Then the next couple of days happens. I got this. We're good. And then when we're starting to transition back to them going back to their dads, things fall apart.
Yeah.
And so it's the transition times, it's the days leading up to it and the days coming back.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And I know from being a stepmom, that will always happen.
I have a different opinion of that just because it's not anymore. It is, I see the differences, but I've accepted them for what they are and I communicate a little bit differently. I don't know. I can't say that it will change for everyone, but I do know that perception is a part of it.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, like you're getting yourself ready for war.
Yes.
So maybe that's something to look into with your coach. I'm just saying, but like for me, that is something I experienced. Intensities of the changes, especially as they're adjusting to being a two-person or a two-parent household,
Yes.
is not easy.
No.
And this is where therapy came in a little bit, but also because it gave them tools and it gave them someone outside of, like I said, the
The family
parents.
unit.
Zoe was younger, right? Was older, 7 years difference. So it's a very different brain that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So I had to find different ways too to speak to them about it.
Yep.
And I found that it wasn't always easy, but I hope Zoe doesn't kill me when she's a little bit older that I'm sharing this. But she would have these big fits, like 2-year-old tantrums.
Yeah.
And it was some of the hardest stuff I've ever done, is to sit there with her while she cried and just be. But she was what, 7? I'm not saying it's easy,
No, it's
but
always hard.
I just sat there. I just let her cry because I knew that's what she needed. And it sucked. It hurt. Your little mom heart hurts. You just want to fix it. You want to make it better. You want to communicate and tell them, or you want to give them the words to fix. You can't. You have to let them feel it in their body and let it flow through them, just how we have to let our emotions flow through our body in order for us to accept and release. And that happened for months. It was to the point where I was like, I'm going to have to get back into therapy, because we had done a 10-week program and then there was nothing after that. It's like, I'm going to have to put her back through those 10 weeks. And just when I thought it was going to be like a new breaking point, like a new low, they got less and a little bit less. And at the end, I was able to start. Before, it was just, I love you. And she would say, I hate this. But she would say hurtful things. But that's what she needed to get out. And that's what she needed to say. And she needed a safe place to say them. And so they got less. And then at the end, eventually I was able to have a conversation. And in those communications, I was able to tell her how special she is and how okay it is that she feels this way.
And not only that, but you're also healing yourself.
Yeah.
Through that.
Yeah.
Because it takes patience.
Holy shit, dude. The amount of times I wanted to put my head through a fucking wall. Or like you're trying to get something done and you have to stop and just sit with them. And it's, I need to fold laundry. I need to blah, blah, blah. No, their mental health takes front seat.
And I think that's where my work is still left to be done, is the transition from any kind of activity, whether it's the chores need to be done,
Mm.
house needs to be clean, to the kids need to have brush their teeth and do their bath and just like all the things. And then, oh, I have work. Somebody needs to go see a house or wants to write an offer or XYZ.
And that has to happen like now. Yeah.
Like all of it comes together and you're like, what's more important? What do I
How do
think?
I prioritize?
Not only that, but being a single mom, you don't have anybody to say, hey, this needs to happen. Can you help?
Yeah.
And so I have to still learn of, okay, this ball needs to drop.
Yeah.
I'll pick it back up when this is done.
Yeah.
And the feelings that come up with that.
Yes, but it looks different for everyone. So
does.
I can't come up here and say, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
It's
There's no
something
magic
that,
ball.
no. And it's something that you can only achieve, I believe, through self-awareness and understanding of your own process.
Yes.
Because people process things differently. I'm very visual. I'm very impatient. Maybe you're the most patient person in the world, so I can't speak to you about patience because you're more patient than I am. I can't help you with that.
Zero patience.
Yeah, I have none. And so it's one of the biggest, I have to literally, the voice in my head says, bitch, calm down. Because whenever I feel that or hear that in my head, I'm like, I'm too much. I'm not too much. That's the wrong word, but I am not, I have too much pressure on myself. I have too much of this, too much of that.
Yes.
And that's where I'm like, oh, okay, let's prioritize, right? Take myself through my process.
Yes. And there was this one Instagram influencer that I follow, and she has 4 kids. And
God bless her.
and she homeschools them. And she posted,
I'm really liking her right now.
She posted this reel the other day of, this is what I do to when I feel all out of shape. When she starts to feel like she's about to lose it with her kids, with her husband, whoever it may be with, she starts singing. She goes, I can't, I don't know, something, I feel horrible right now.
Like,
get all of her anger out through that before she would start to project it onto her kids. And so I started doing that. And
does it work?
Yes and no. It works right in the moment for me. My kids look at me like I'm
perfect. I mean, it
like,
knocks them off their trajectory. Like everyone pauses.
And it shifts the mood.
Yeah.
It shifts it, like when
the energetic.
my son this past weekend just lost it. We were at a screaming match. I'm not going to lie. I was at a point of, no, this is not okay anymore. He was at a point of, he was not regulated. So I only did this one time. So I don't know how many more times it's going to work, but just seeing how it worked this first time was like, oh, okay. Then he looked at me and he's, what are you doing, Mom?
Did you sing?
Yes, and I don't sing very well.
What'd you do? Break out into Twinkle? What did you do?
I just started singing what I was feeling.
Love.
I was like,
and you saw it
right now. La la la. What are we going to do about it?
Okay, so suggestion just for my own heart is please record it if you can, but also add a dance. Making the weirdest, I'm so curious that if you make it even weirder, because kids are like, cringe, Mom, and they walk away.
My youngest is 4 years old, so he just looks at it as, oh, maybe I should do that. He's very much a mama's boy.
He's going to go to preschool and he's going to sing to his teacher when he's pissed, and I'm going to love every second of it. And I fully expect you to tell me when this happens because I think it's going to, if you continue. But is that the worst thing in the world if people start singing off key when they're pissed? Fuck it.
I also can't sing, nor can I hear a tune. So
I can, but if I'm pissed, it's probably not going to be on key. It's going to be real. Okay, here's the thing is I can kind of relate to that because at work, my coworker sang back to me something, and I was like, why did you do that? And she's like, you do it all the time. And I'm like, what? It took me a second to realize she was like mirroring something that I had done to her. But I do, like when I get frustrated with customers, I've noticed I'm like, and he isn't helping right now.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and it's funny that you say that because I didn't even realize until this conversation that I kind of do that, not with my kids.
Yeah.
I do it with adults.
Sometimes I need
Clearly.
to. It worked that one time. I only did it
Keep
one
doing
time.
it and
So
report
we'll
back.
see.
We
We'll
need to
see if,
know.
yes,
Yeah.
I will definitely let you know.
Oh, well, that felt like therapy. I
Yes.
feel this is so good. I love talking about things and hearing like where people are in their stories. And then I get to relate things that I've been through. So I get golden nuggets and I learn and grow too. So at the end of all of our shit, we do a her vibe check.
Okay.
So for my her vibe check, I'm gonna go first because that Instagram thing, notice how I was like, oh, we love her already. But I love her. I say that to joke, but she's doing good shit for
Yes.
women.
Loving it. So
Yeah.
maybe it's for likes or maybe it's not. I don't know. But
It doesn't matter. It helped you. Who
it
cares?
helped. Yes. And I mean,
Her
he's,
intention doesn't matter. You took something, implemented it, and it fucking worked.
yeah. Yeah.
Fucking check, yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's my takeaway. I hope that more people implement that. I didn't realize that I was doing that until now. And I'm annoyed that I do it with adults.
You know what? At least you know now.
At
You've
least
got the awareness.
I'm aware now. So the next time I go into song, I'm going to be like, fuck, I'm doing it again. And then I'm going to message my coworker and be like, I sing to adults. Do you still love me? She knows. She knows. So that's my takeaway. That's incredible. And I hope that more people implement it with their kids because I do think that diffuses
It
everything.
completely diffused a lot of things that day.
Yeah.
So it definitely worked.
Yeah. What's your takeaway?
When you had mentioned the fighting with, and okay, how do I implement that and make sure that my baseline is this line? And so I think that's my key to take away is just
Good.
remembering, oh, they get to do that. I can do that in my own time, not when my kids are around.
And hopefully you get to a point where you don't have to do that in your own time,
Yes.
right? To where you
Yes.
can process things in different ways. But yeah, I'm glad that's a takeaway because it changed everything for me. It changed my son and my relationship completely because we were exactly the same that you're talking about. We were at each other's throat. Who can yell louder? It was very ego. It was like, my point is right, yours is wrong because I'm the parent and you're the kid, and his is fuck you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you're like this big. And he felt that big, right? And why would I want him to feel that way? You know what I mean? In my anger, I really was trying to help. At the end of the day, it's because I love him. But it was coming from a very unhealed and toxic place
Yeah.
and fear, right?
Yes.
A lot of it comes from fear because we want the best for our kids and we just want to shake them and make them understand
Yeah.
what we know. But we didn't know and we did some stupid shit. So I think the difference, the call out is how can we do it differently
Yeah.
than it was done to us? Because it didn't work for us. So
Right.
why are we continuing to do things that don't work?
Yeah.
And they just make things
It's
worse.
there. What's that thing called? There's an actual word for it where you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results.
Insanity.
Yeah.
Yep. The
So
definition of insanity. And we've done it generation after generation. And I think that we're finally in a place where you got a coach. That's a huge step.
yeah.
We're finally in a place where we can recognize what's not working. And we have the kicker is that we have the technology, we have the tools. You just have to open your mind and allow yourself, let your guard down enough to use them,
Yeah.
to accept change,
Accept it.
and then implement it. I am so honored that you chose this podcast to be a part of. I loved hearing your story, and I know it's going to help and touch a lot of people. It's funny how it came to fruition because I keep thinking back to that conversation we had in that parking lot where we got it all out. And I literally vocally said, God, I wish that was recorded. And now we get to throw more into it. I think that you are doing the work, you've done a lot of the work, and the fact that you're even aware enough to recognize that needs to happen is not only doing you a huge service to yourself, but your kids too. They're going to see it. They're going to hopefully cling to it.
Yes, that's the goal.
Yeah. But your kids are younger, right? A lot of the things that I'm doing, I did when my kids were a lot older. So I think getting a hold of them at a younger age is definitely going to help. But even now, with my kids being like as old as they are, being on the other side of everything, it's not perfect, but it's 9,000 times better. You have to just keep trying. Yeah, you can't stop. And you have to be okay when you slip up. You have to be okay when you give yourself grace and just know that you're like doing the shit. You're in the mud and you're not quite at a place where you're in complete peace and harmony and all the things, right? But you're still doing it. And as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other, you will get to the other side. I'm there now.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's not always pretty and things still happen. But I was just thinking this the other day and telling my friend Alyssa, I was like, dude, I literally wake up and my first thought isn't, oh God, another day. It's like, oh my God, I love my life.
Yes.
Which has, I don't
I'm
think,
that
ever
way.
happened.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love the way I am now.
Yeah.
I love how my life is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's ups and downs, but
Exactly.
I am 10 times happier
Yeah.
than I was.
And I think by having these conversations, we invite people in to be able to make those decisions and also
Yeah.
be able to wake up and love their lives because they deserve to have that peace and love within themselves as well. So
Yes. Well,
that's
thank
why we
you.
do what we do.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. But I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, you can find our podcast anywhere that you can stream a podcast. And we will see you on whatever the fuck the next episode is. Okay, bye.
Bye.